guys, today we're here to do another top 10 video on this channel, and today we're talking about my favorite Nintendo Switch games of 2021. Now, caveat here, I'm a really big Nintendo fan, so that means that this list is probably all but maybe one or two compromised of games from Nintendo, because that's why I obviously own a Switch, I'm sure like a lot of us out there. There were a lot of great games I played as far as local multiplayer games from smaller developers, which is why I made a separate video, which I'll have that link down below. I make them every year. It's my top 20 or 25 local multiplayer games that release on the Nintendo Switch. So that's a lot of the games that I play as well. But as far as my top 10 favorite games on the Switch overall, you know, it's usually primarily Nintendo games because that's what I obviously bought this console for. And that's the games that I enjoy the most. So that's a lot of what's primarily on this list. So just let you guys know up front. Because that's the games that I love and grew up with. And that's what I bought the Switch for. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, the first one coming in here at number 10 is Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Now this is a game that I've actually been wanting since my childhood. Like, this is a dream game. To be able to have all the Nickelodeon characters that we all grew up and loved, you know, kind of come into a game like Super Smash Brothers where you can, you know, fight all these characters. They have their own their own levels that are designed based on their TV properties, all that stuff. The reason this one is lower is because it's missing something that elevates it, and that is, of course, the fact that there's no VO in the game. So there's no voiceover, so the characters are basically very quiet in the game. Now the moves are really done very well. The game is fun to play. They're always adding updates to fix all that stuff. The levels are well designed. The gameplay is fun, but the VO is really missing, and that's what's holding it back. And the good news is that I did see a tweet on Twitter from one of the guys working on the game that made it seem like he was hinting that you will hear more in 2022. That seemed like it was hinting to VO. So there's still promise for this game, and there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. But this game has been a ton of fun regardless, and that's Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, number 10. The next one here coming in at number 9 is Mario Golf Super Rush. Now, I'm a really big fan of all the Nintendo games that are like related on sports. I was a big sports fan myself. And Mario Golf Super Rush, especially with the content and the free DLC that they've added to the game, has definitely come into its own. You know, they have a lot of cool modes. The Super Rush mode where you're basically playing golf and there's 4 people that you're playing against and you're trying to shoot the ball as fast as possible and get to the hole using your special ability that each character has to run over there, kind of like dash around people and stuff like that. Really, really fun. And then they have a battle mode where you're kind of just like trying to make the holes as fast as possible around the different map, and you can choose whichever holes you actually want to go to, which is really fun. You know, of course, it has online multiplayer, it has local multiplayer play. The game shines in local multiplayer, of course, with your friends, like it always has, and with the free DLC that it's added with more maps for each of the modes, more characters that each have their own special abilities depending on what mode you're playing. Of course, it has motion controls for all you guys who want to use the motion controls on your Joy-Cons. All of that stuff is all there. The graphics are, of course, fantastic, as they usually are with a game like this. And the game's just a ton of fun. I know a lot of people, you know, wanted it to be more with the story mode in the game, which unfortunately for the single-player story mode, it starts off setting it up to be like this grand story that you're about to find out, but it's not, and it ends up not being that. But the story's just fine. It's not definitely what you come here for. You come here for the multiplayer, the local multiplayer, the online multiplayer. You know, they have interesting modes in here like the speed golf you're seeing on the screen now, which is what I was talking about before, that each character has its own ability and you're running around grabbing items along the course, trying to get to the hole and finish your hole as fast as possible in the least amount of shots, which is really cool. So yeah, this one is really, really fun, especially if you want local multiplayer and online multiplayer, and that's your main thing. But if you want it just for story mode, that's not exactly what this game does well. But for me, since all I care about on this channel a lot is local multiplayer with friends and multiplayer online, I'm having a ton of fun with this one, guys. Mario Party Super Rush. The next one here coming in at number 8 is, I wonder how many of you guys actually remember this game, Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain. Now, this is a series that I've always been fond of. I remember playing this on the Nintendo DS when it first, I believe that's where it first came out. That's where at least I first played it. And basically, it's a brain teaser game. You're playing like math puzzles and, you know, speed challenges and you basically got an average brain score every day you came in, and your brain would get an age value. You'd be 16, 17, 18, 19, and the higher the brain, of course, the smarter you were. And that DS game was fantastic, and now they finally brought this game over to the Nintendo Switch, as you're seeing here, and it's kind of more the same, but just brought to the Switch. Now you can play 2 players side by side like you're seeing there. which is really, really fun with the 2-player touchscreen battles that you have. They have, I believe it's 20 different, mini games that you're playing. Obviously, you still have the brain score there to tell you how you're doing throughout the day. Go in there and challenge it. There's even 4-player local multiplayer on here that you can play with 4 players and see who really does have the biggest brain around the house, which is really cool. That's obviously never something that's been in the series before, which is really fun. And the mini games on here are really fun. The mini games that you're trying to use your brain for are a lot of fun to play with your friends, and there's a lot of fun to be had here if you guys are into brain teasers and games like this. And if you were a fan of the Nintendo DS version like I was, you're definitely gonna like this game as well, especially with the added local multiplayer that you can play now with your friends with 4 people, the 2-player touchscreen battles that you can have. But of course, you can just sit there and play it yourself as well, which is really fun. You'll even be able to do some ghost data against your family and friends that even if they're not playing with you, you can still go against ghost data of other players. So kind of give you an incentive while you're playing by yourself to, beat their high score and beat their, their brain score for the day in that mini challenge. So really, really fun game, and definitely worth your time, especially if you like the original, guys. Check this one out. Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain. The next one here coming in at number 7 is WarioWare Get It Together. Now, WarioWare is a series that have always been a really big fan of. Basically, micro games where you're basically playing all these micro games and stuff. In this version here, there's over 200 micro games that are brought over from all over the series, which is really fun. And some new ones, of course, thrown in there with the classics. But what sets this one apart that's really cool is that you actually have different characters. You're not always playing as just WarioWare, and each character has their own unique way to be able to face these mini games or these micro games. So WarioWare may be able to do this to the nose this way, and that's how you complete that mini game. But when you're using some of the other characters, they'll be able to play that same minigame, but you're beating it in entirely new ways. So it makes the minigame feel completely different. So there's over 200 micro games in here, but with the 4 characters and how you actually complete those minigames in entirely different ways, it's really, really fun to go through here and just play of all these different characters in the game and kind of see how they can complete these minigames and how they actually do it. Really, really fun. Of course, it has a story mode that you can go in there and play, and you actually have to play the story mode to be able to unlock the multiplayer side of this, because there is a multiplayer to play with your friends as well, locally, which is really fun. The mini games are, of course, fantastic, as they've always been. A lot of fun to play, and it's really, really fun. The fact that you can play this with 2 players and kind of see who comes out on top of the mini game, and everyone gets to choose their own character and stuff, and their characters are, like I said, a little different than the other one, so they each complete it in a different way, makes the competition even more fun to play. So if you guys are into WarioWare games like this, I urge you guys to check this one out. That's WarioWare coming in at number 7. The next one on this list here, coming in at number 6, does not need any introduction. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These are games that we all loved on the Nintendo DS, as you guys are seeing here. One of my favorite Pokemon games, right next to like Red and Blue and all those, right next to it from my childhood. And it was brought over to the Nintendo Switch, all redone with obviously current graphics and stuff. And they did a fantastic job with this one. If you're a fan of that game and you want to replay it and see the new style graphics that you're seeing here, everything has been redone with this remaster, and it feels really good. It looks really good, and it's just like you remember it. Of course, it being more of the same of what you guys remember from the Nintendo DS game, but I haven't played this game in years, and having a remaster of it, having one of our childhood games that, we all had fond memories of back then, being brought into this realization of, newer style graphics and newer gameplay. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl that used to be on the Nintendo DS were some of my favorite Pokemon games from my childhood. So really happy to have this one. They did a great job. If you guys are fans of that series and you want to see it in the new era of a remaster and stuff like that, definitely one that you guys should check out. That is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. The next one here, coming in at number 5, is a game we've all been waiting for to finally be, have a sequel to it, and that is new Pokemon Snap. I have another game that I have fond memories of on the Nintendo 64 when it first came out from my childhood. And ever since that day, we all said, like, when's the next Pokemon Snap game going to come out? They could obviously make a new one. There's more Pokemon that released we can go ahead and capture. And, well, they did it. They made a new Pokemon Snap game. And this is exactly what I wanted. You're going around different levels, trying to capture Pokemon on your camera and trying to capture them in the best poses. And sometimes when you go back and you throw certain things at them, like berries and stuff, they'll have completely different emotions that you're basically capturing on camera. And they have all unique secrets that you're trying to find by doing different things and capturing them for Professor Oak. Really, really fun. Of course, the graphics here look really, really good. And they did a fantastic job with this one. If you're into the style of game, of course. I was a huge fan of Pokemon Snap, being able to go around the cart and kind of go through these levels and capture Pokemon in their element and capture these great photographs and then getting scores that you can actually compare. And this one actually adds a little bit of an online element where you can see your scores and the pictures and stuff that you can see from everyone else that they've taken online, which is really cool. That they have that in there, and they've actually added some free updates to this game with new Pokemon and stuff here over the course of the last couple of months. Really fun. Definitely check this one out if you guys are a fan of Pokemon Snap. Coming in at number 5. The next one here coming in at number 4 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Now, I'm surprised that I actually put this one on the list, only because when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, I own the Wii U. This is just going to be, 3D World, put it over to the Nintendo Switch, obviously. And a lot of people didn't play it, so that's a good thing. But for me, I played it on the original Wii U, and I love the game. The game is fantastic. One of my favorite 3D Mario games ever made. But I already played it from beginning to end. But what's special about this one is they actually went further and didn't just port it over to the Switch and just update the graphics and stuff. They actually brought over an expansion to it called Bowser's Fury. And Bowser's Fury really adds an element to the game that I didn't really know that I actually wanted. The fact that you're actually fighting Bowser and you have like this open world Mario game that you're playing in the expansion that they added, it actually adds a lot more content than I thought it actually would for a game like this. And it did a great job, and it made me want to buy this game when I kept hearing the reviews, kept seeing about it. And when I played it, it was freaking awesome. I didn't want it to end. And it made the game that I already thought was basically a 10 out of 10 for me when it comes to 3D Mario games just elevated even higher because of Bowser's Fury now being included on here. So much fun to play. With the open world section in the game kind of gives you a link of maybe where Mario will go like this in the future when you're playing the expansion on here. Really solid, guys. If you guys are fans of 3D Mario games like this, you owe it to yourself, especially if you didn't play it on the Wii U. Definitely buy it on the Nintendo Switch. But even if you did, like I did, if you're okay with replaying the whole game to relive that, but also having this expansion in here that you're looking at here, it looks so good. It's so much fun to play, and more content than I ever thought they would add to a game. So check this one out, guys. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, coming in at number 4. The next one on this list here is Mario Party Superstars. They did everything we wanted in this game. The top 100 of the best Mario Party minigames across all the Mario parties. Top 5 N64 boards, actual online play for everything, and even more online modes that I thought they would add. Everything in here is fantastic and a lot of fun to play. You can play the full boards with your friends, all online. Really cool. I hope that they add DLC to this game so they can add even more stuff, but Mario Party Superstars, fantastic. The next one here coming at number 2 is definitely one of my most played games on the Nintendo Switch this year, because I keep going back to it because I love arcade games and I love this game, and that is, of course, as you're seeing, Cruis'n Blast. So Cruis'n Blast is a game that existed in the arcades from Raw Thrills. We've all seen them probably at Dave & Buster's and stuff, and they actually ported this game over to the Nintendo Switch, and it's so good, guys. If you guys are fans of arcade racers that you play in the arcades, this is such a great recreation for the Nintendo Switch console. It plays super well, super fast. The graphics are obviously very neon, as you're seeing here. Super colorful, super fast. So much fun to play with the tracks in the game. I hope that Raw Thrills actually brings more of their games over that they do in the arcades and brings them over to console releases, because it seems like this game did really well for them from what I've seen. But this game, with 4-player local multiplayer that you can play with your friends, it's fast, it's fun, it's an arcade racer, exactly what I would want. Of course, it has the original tracks that are in the arcade game, but they have also remixed those tracks to make them feel different from each other. And I think the game technically has like 28 tracks or so. Obviously, they're remixed from the original 5, where like the track layout is changed and like the props and everything look different, but they're using the main idea there. But regardless, the game is so much fun. Definitely the game I played the most this year. Me and my friends have a lot of fun playing this game. If you guys are fans of arcade racers, definitely do not miss this one. It's exclusive to the Switch. That's Cruis'n Blast, coming in at number 2. And number 1 is probably not a surprise to anybody at this point, and that is Metroid Dread, my number 1 game of the year. We're all huge fans, if you're all Nintendo fans, of Metroid, the series. Just like I am myself, I played all the Metroid games, from the original Super Nintendo, NES, and then, everything going forward. And we've all been waiting for this Metroid Dread game, because there's been a lot of rumors for years about this game being released, of a 2D side-scroller Metroid game with this name coming out. And it's never actually happened. Every year it went by, never came out. And out of nowhere, per se, this game came out. And not only did it come out, but it lived up to everyone's expectations, or mostly everyone's expectations, because the game is fantastic, guys. For a 2D side-scroller Metroid game, this game has it all. The graphics are great, fantastic art design, fantastic art style. The action is great, the story is great. Everything about this game is fantastic, and it feels so much fun to play. Can't believe we actually have this game after all those years of all those rumors about Metroid Dread, and it never actually coming into about. But the game is so much fun to play. It's definitely a game I'll be repeating over the years, because it's an easy game to basically repeat and do over again, because that's how much fun the game is to play. They did a fantastic job. They nailed this one out of the park. I can't wait to see what Metroid Prime 4, when that releases, maybe next year, who knows, like it's supposed to, because they did a fantastic job with this one, so I can't wait to see them now go into the 3D, first-person shooter style Metroid Prime 4 that we're all waiting for, because this one's done so well that, now I'm pumped up for the next one. So, guys, definitely don't miss this one if you have a Nintendo Switch. My favorite game of the year by far, Metroid Dread, coming in at number 1. Alright, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that list on my top 10 Nintendo Switch games of 2021. Another solid year for the Switch, not just on this list, but just local multiplayer games on the other list that I did this year. There's a lot of good games that came out there, a lot of indie stuff that came out, a lot of other great games. There's a lot of stuff out there for everybody. There's some games I didn't mention on this list because it's not a game that I'm particularly interested in. Like, for example, Monster Hunter's Rise is a really good game that a lot of people like. Not really a series that I'm really into, so obviously it's not going to make my personal list. Things like that. So there's a lot of good games out there for everybody for them to check out. I can't wait to see what 2022 brings. There's some good stuff that may be coming out. Of course, the new Pokemon open world game. Maybe Metroid Prime 4 finally comes out. You never know what's going to come out in 2022, but I'm excited for the Switch as it continues to trail through. Other than that, guys, if you guys have any questions about what you guys seen in today's video, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.